You know what they say, truth is the first casualty of war. And this phrase has never made more sense than now, especially if you look at the Russia-Ukraine war. Why am I saying this? A year since the war started, the gap between truth and falsehoods is growing wider by the day. And the reason is quite simple. This, after all, is the first war to see algorithms and TikTok videos being deployed alongside fighter planes and tanks. So, one has to navigate things rather carefully, tread with caution to get an accurate account of what really is unfolding. Because both sides have weaponized information, of course, for the benefit of their respective governments. And even specific battle stories are questionable. For instance, the number of casualties. Headlines in Western media saying that Putin's forces are being humiliated, that they have suffered heavy casualties. And on the other hand, the Russian media saying that it is Ukraine that is being humiliated. It is Ukraine that has suffered more casualties. And these rather wild variations also extending to accounts of destruction on both sides. Ukraine saying that it has destroyed more military equipment, Russia saying it has entirely weakened Ukraine's frontline defenses, both sides essentially saying the other is lying. And these differences illustrate the kind of story each side wants to offer to its own people, just to put it simply. Ukraine wants to encourage its people through the tale of a successful resistance. And Russia, on the other hand, wants to convince its people through stories of its military gains. And neither side wants to talk about the casualties and the damages in their ranks. My point here is simple. Yes, this is a military battle, but it's also a battle of narratives, a war of disinformation. And here's more proof. You see, for the last 12 months, there have been numerous reports on the Russian president's health. The Western media has made all kinds of claims, right from how he is suffering from blurred vision and numbness of the tongue, to how he is using a body double due to his worsening health condition, also to how he was seen limping during his visit to Crimea. Now, these claims were wild as it is. What's worse, they have now come up with a new one. Have a look at this report. British tabloids now saying that Putin may have undergone treatment for thyroid cancer. And what's the basis for these claims, you wonder? An apparent scar that was spotted on Putin's neck. And this mark, by the way, was apparently seen as Putin clasped a candle at a midnight Orthodox Easter cathedral service in Moscow. The report saying that this mark represents proof of credible claims that the Russian leader could be suffering from thyroid cancer. Now, here's the thing. The outlets carrying this news have provided no medical evidence to back their claims. They've just made these allegations based on a mark on the Russian president's neck. And what's worse, for the last 1 year, they have made similar accusations from time to time. Yet, the Russian president in no way seems to be in bad shape. So, we cannot take every story on face value. We cannot confuse visibility with transparency, because we don't know how much of the information is actually being filtered, modified, or even concocted. And you know what's worse? Social media is complicating the matters even further. And it's not a level playing field anymore. It is entirely controlled by the West. I'm of course talking about tech giants like Twitter, Facebook, Google, Apple. These companies, these private companies, seem to have only openly aligned themselves with the West. They are pushing one narrative and restricting the other side of the story. Google has barred Russian state media from monetizing content on its platforms. Apple has blocked RT and Sputnik from its app store everywhere outside Russia. Twitter, for that matter, is labeling all posts by the Russian state media, adding a warning of sorts on pro-Russian stories. And then we have Meta. Have a look at this report from last year. It says Facebook and Instagram are allowing posts calling for violence against Russians and their president, Vladimir Putin. So the point I'm trying to make is quite simple. The Western media, in cahoots with tech giants, are overstepping their purpose. They are deciding when it's okay to call for violence and when it's not. Russia is the aggressor in the Ukraine conflict. Yes. But you see, the West's monopoly on information flow is making things rather complex. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.